It is now my privilege to introduce the man with the toughest job in the country, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, the Honorable Robert A. McDonald. The Secretary hails from Indiana, and he grew up in Chicago. He would graduate from West Point in the top 3% of his class of 1975 and served 5 years in uniform, primarily with the 82nd Airborne near Fort Bragg. Well, let's hear it, Airborne. He would join Procter & Gamble in 1980 and work his way up for the corporate ladder to become chairman and president and CEO of the company. 2 years ago, the president asked him to make and take control of the VA in a crisis situation, a nationwide crisis in access to care that severely damaged the confidence that American veterans must have in the Veterans Administration. Proper leadership, management, and accountability are the only requirements the VFW has ever demanded from the VA. And despite a huge plus-up in emergency funding and the passage of Veterans Choice programs, his department still has many challenges and many critics who would rather dismantle and privatize the VA than work with them to fix it. Mr. Secretary, I promise the VFW will continue to be there to help you, to fix the VA, just as we'll be there to point out the necessary course corrections too. Our job as veterans advocates is to ensure the VA's success, and I appreciate the fact that the VFW is able to provide a voice that you want to hear. Comrades, please welcome the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs, Bob McDonald.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Big John Budjetsky, thanks for that kind introduction, and thanks for an outstanding year of leadership of the VFW. Brian Duffy, congratulations on your new job. We look forward to working with you. Congressman Pittenger, it's great to be back in North Carolina, particularly in the beautiful 9th District. Your work, bringing attention and understanding to the challenges of post-traumatic stress, is incredibly important to us. We're happy to partner with you on the new stamp. And on behalf of all veterans, Mr. Congressman, thank you very much. Bob Wallace, Jerry Manur, Francisca Guilford, other fellow veterans, colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for that warm welcome. Bill Bradshaw, where are you? Bill? There's Bill over there. 3 decades of hard work for the VFW and veterans. Bill, congratulations on your retirement. We're proud of everything that you've done. Bill's got 2 combat tours, and he flew 375 combat missions in Vietnam. 375 missions. Now, Bill, I suspect that you flew into more than your fair share of hot LZs. Earlier this month, President Obama presented the Medal of Honor to another Army aviator and Vietnam veteran named Charles Kettles. In 1967, Charles Kettles volunteered to lead his flight of Hueys into the middle of a vicious firefight. They made that trip 3 times, carrying reinforcements in and carrying the wounded out. And then Major Kettles went back once more. Single ship, no cover, overloaded, linking fuel tank, tail damaged, main rotor damaged, windshields gone. Indomitable courage, resilience, resolve, grit. Veterans are the only ones who really know what it means to stand on that dangerous ground between freedom and tyranny. People miss that point, but it's the heart of the matter. Our nation owes so much. Last March, I stood with Vietnam veterans at VA's nationwide commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. To honor those who came home and those who didn't, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter and I laid a wreath at the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington. There are 58,000 names chiseled in those giant pieces of polished black granite. They were husbands and wives. They were mothers and fathers, sons and daughters who sacrificed everything. And those who did return paid an enormous price. Veterans like Bill Bradshaw, veterans like Charles Kettles, like so many of you here this morning. If I may, let me ask all Vietnam veterans, if you're able, to please stand. Thank you, and welcome home. Two years ago, I sat before the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs for my confirmation. People who had cut their teeth on Washington politics asked me, "Why do you want to be the Secretary of Veterans Affairs?" And I told them, there's no higher calling. There's no more noble mission. When President Obama asked, I didn't hesitate. It's an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of my fellow veterans. In my confirmation hearing, I pledged to work to transform the VA. I pledged to make dramatic changes. I pledged to improve your access to the high-quality care and benefits that you've earned and that you deserve. And I pledged to work with Congress, with our veteran service organizations, and with other stakeholders. After confirmation, my first stop was Phoenix, Arizona, then Las Vegas, Nevada, then Memphis and Reno and Palo Alto, and here in Charlotte. Across 23 cities, I counted thousands of veterans, and I consulted with every one of them. I consulted with VA employees, with other stakeholders, and with VSO leadership, the VFW first among them. We talked about how could we shape our My VA transformation strategy so that VA would best serve veterans. And here's the point. It isn't my strategy, it's yours. It's not about me, it's all about you. It reflects your ideals, your insights, and your innovations. Now, you've heard many times before that VA is broken. So I'll answer one question. Can the Department of Veterans Affairs be fixed? Can it be transformed? The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. Not only can it be transformed, but transformation is well underway, and we're already seeing results. Changing VA means changing leadership. So it's important that you know that 13 of our top 18 executives are new since I became secretary. These are world-class, enthusiastic business leaders and healthcare professionals. And 8 of them are veterans, just like you and me. It's important you know that since early last year, March of 2015, our new My VA Advisory Committee has been hard at work. We created this committee to give us counsel and advice to transform the VA. These members have brought extensive experience in customer service and organizational change. They're leaders in business, in medicine, in government, and in veteran advocacy. Among them are veterans like Major General Joe Robles. After 30 years in the Army, Joe was president and CEO of USAA, one of the best customer service organizations in the world. Dr. Richard Carmona is a Special Forces Vietnam veteran, and he was the 17th Surgeon General of the United States. Navy veteran Dr. Connie Mariano was the first military woman to serve as White House physician to the President of the United States. She was also the first woman director of the White House Medical Unit. And she's the first Filipino American in U.S. history to become a Navy Rear Admiral. And you all know Vietnam veteran and your executive director, Bob Wallace, who provides tremendously important counsel to us on this external advisory board. Bob, thanks for helping us serve and helping us serve veterans better. Now, these are innovative, resourceful, respected leaders who are all advising us on this important transformation. They know business. They know customer service. They know veterans. It's important you know we're collaborating with world-class institutions like Johnson & Johnson, USAA, Starbucks, NASA, Kaiser Permanente, Hospital Corporation of America, Virginia Mason, Marriott, and Ritz-Carlton, among many, many others. It's also important you know we're partnered with respected organizations like the YMCA, the Elks, the PenFed Foundation, LinkedIn, Coursera, Google, Walgreens, academic institutions, and other federal agencies, and many more. New leadership, innovative collaboration, expanded partnerships, all of that matters. These are powerful, productive relationships for only one reason, and that's to serve veterans. Over the last 2 years, we've helped build a new national network of 67 Community Veteran Engagement Boards, or CVEB as we call them. CVEB partnerships leverage community assets, not just VA assets, to help ensure that we implement local solutions to meet the needs of veterans in our communities. Our goal is to have 100 CVEBs across the country by the year's end. And if there's a no CVEB in your particular community, let us know and let us help you make that happen. Partnership is the foundation of our progress in ending veteran homelessness. The VA, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, businesses, criminal justice systems, mental health nonprofits, the faith-based community, and philanthropists, all working together to end veterans' homelessness. That's partnership from the federal government to the state and to the grassroots level. Partnerships are why 28 communities and 2 states have achieved an effective end to veterans' homelessness. They're why over 360,000 veterans and family members have been permanently housed, rapidly rehoused, or prevented from falling into homelessness. Nationally, veterans' homelessness is down 36% since 2010. The 2016 numbers will be out very soon, and we know we will see accelerated progress. We know it because of what we saw in Los Angeles, the top city in the country for homelessness. Last year in LA, 2015, we cut veterans' homelessness by more than 30%, about 4 times the rate of decline of the previous years. What does that mean? That means kids are getting their fathers back. Rudy's combat experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan racked him with PTSD. He He ended up in jail. He ended up homeless. But now he's working on his Bachelor of Arts degree in social work. And he says life with his family is best and better than it's ever been. Lonnie went from sleeping in his car. Now he has a job, a home, and he has hope. And because of him, his company is hiring other formerly homeless veterans. It means veterans who were homeless nearly 20 years are now working again in good jobs, smiling, laughing, productive members of their community. So it really does matter. Let me talk about VA healthcare. You know, VA is the largest integrated healthcare system in the country. We have a unique lifetime relationship with our 9 million patients and a single electronic record across the entire enterprise. Nobody offers that. Our mental health care is integrated with primary care, with specialty care, and with a psychosocial support to minimize barriers and help resolve problems early. Nobody offers that. VA healthcare is whole veteran healthcare, body, mind, soul, customized to meet veterans' needs. Yoga, acupuncture, sports therapy, music therapy, writing and art therapy. We validate and embrace what works to heal veterans. And VA care is integrated with non-medical determinants of health and well-being that people often miss. I'm talking about things like education services, career transition support, fiduciary services, pension resources, disability compensation, and many, many others. Nobody, no other healthcare system in the country or the world offers that. And our Undersecretary of Health, Dr. David Shulkin, who's new since I became secretary, is changing our system to proactive, holistic health care and wellness. It's time we got beyond just reacting to disease when it happens. We need to prevent the disease before it occurs. Let me talk about access to VA health care. You should know that more veterans are coming to VA for our care and waiting less time. You should know that last year, veterans had nearly 5 million more appointments than the previous year. Almost 57 million were in VA facilities. Over 21 million were VA care in the community appointments. Last March, veterans set a record for completed appointments, 5.3 million inside the VA, 730,000 more than in March of 2014. Last March, veterans were issued 370,000 authorizations for care in the community. That's twice as many as in March of 2014. These authorizations represent more than 2 million appointments for veterans in the months ahead. 97% of appointments are now completed within 30 days of veterans' preferred date. 86% are completed within 7 days. And get this, 22% are completed the very same day. You should know that average wait time for primary care is around 5 days, 6 days for specialty care, and 2 days for mental health care. And by December, listen to this, by December, you can expect same-day access in primary care and same-day access in mental health care. By the way, VA is the only healthcare system that publicly reports on wait times as a measure of access. 90% of veterans we've surveyed are satisfied or completely satisfied with the timeliness of their care. Now, we won't be satisfied until that 90% becomes 100%. So we're making important progress, but you rarely hear that in the media. You'd never know we lead in many fields of research that benefit not just veterans, but all Americans. PTSD, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, prosthetics, genetics, and many more. You'd never know that the American Customer Satisfaction Index rated your National Cemetery Administration #1 in customer service for 5 years running. You'd also never know that J.D. Power rated your mail-order pharmacy the best in the country for customer satisfaction 6 years in a row. Now, not too long ago, all you heard about was our backlog. 611,000 claims waiting to be dealt with, more than 125 days old. We added staff, we adjusted policies, and we designed an automated claims processing system. Today, that backlog of claims is down almost 90%, and the average waiting time for a completed claim is down 65%. That's the work of some industrious people, employees and leaders, many of them, if not most of them, veterans themselves. They're building a world-class customer service enterprise. You never read about it. Listening to some people, we'd never know there's a decent person working at the VA, veteran or otherwise. Well, these last 2 years, I've met and I've talked with thousands of VA employees and leaders in over 300 locations, many of them veterans just like you and just like me. There are people like Victor Vasquez, who's a groundskeeper at the Fort Bliss National Cemetery. One older veteran showed Victor a perfect place for a tree. So Victor, Foreman James Porter, Gardener Chris Smith, and Manny Vasquez with facilities maintenance got to work. When the veteran came back, a few days later, he found a tree right where he wanted it, shading his wife's grave. Kathy DeNoble is a nurse with our DC home-based primary care office. Every Thanksgiving and Christmas, Kathy takes a holiday dinner to a veteran she cares for. He served in Iraq, and he was a guard at Abu Ghraib. He's suffering severe PTSD, and he doesn't get out of the house very much. You can understand that. Chuck Malden's an emergency room nurse just up the highway here at the Salisbury VAMC. One day, Chuck was treating a veteran for blisters, and he literally gave the veteran the shoes off his feet. Why? Because the veteran needed better shoes, because they fit, because he cared, because that's what we're about. Our employees are good people. I'm proud of them. They care about us veterans. They want to serve us well, and we're equipping them with success, for success. They're not all perfect, not by a long shot. But it's a gross misrepresentation to cherry-pick the worst and hold them up like they represent VA employees, just like it's a gross misrepresentation to hold up a bad veteran to represent all of us. It may be a distortion that sells papers, but it's a distortion that hurts veterans and hurts the good people caring for them. Some claim there's no accountability at the VA. You don't think we hold people accountable? Tell that to the VA employee in Augusta, Georgia, who recently was convicted of falsifying health care records. He's facing sentencing that could include years in prison and hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines. Tell it to some of the 3,750 employees that we've terminated in the past 2 years. Some people think everything will be fine if we fire more people more quickly. That's not true. We can't fire our way to excellence. Over my 33 years in the private sector, I've never encountered an organization where firing people was a measure of leadership. Now, consequences for behavior inconsistent with our values are part of effective leadership, and we are committed to that principle. But we won't punish people based on opinions, recycled and embellished media accounts, or external political pressure. It's not in the best interest of the veterans we serve. Excellence is what we're after. So the right dialogue is about forward-looking leadership and sustainable accountability. Sustainable accountability gives you positive outcomes. Sustainable accountability is leaders and supervisors providing routine feedback, just like you remember in well-led, well-trained military outfits. It's recognizing what's going well, coaching and retraining when improvements are necessary. It's ensuring employees understand how their daily work supports our mission, our values, and our strategy. It's training leaders to lead and employees to exceed expectations every single day. And yes, it's taking corrective action when it's warranted and supported by evidence. These are all pretty simple concepts for veterans. They're not a surprise to you. These are the very same principles that built the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. Believe me, we're serious about the work we're doing for you. And we have the opportunity to look back at 2016 as the year we turned the corner for the veterans. But there's some things we can't do without the help of Congress. It's important that you know that the Senate Appropriations Committee approved a budget nearly equal to the President's request. The House, in contrast, proposed a $1.5 billion reduction. That reduction will hurt veterans. It will impede some critical initiatives to transform the VA into the high-performing organization you deserve. You should know there are more than 100 legislative proposals for veterans in the President's 2017 budget. Many are absolutely vital to maintaining our ability to purchase non-VA care. Only Congress can modernize and clarify our purchase care authorities so there's a strong foundation for your access to community care in the years ahead. Only Congress can clear the way for us to streamline our care in the community systems and programs. Get this, we submitted our plan to Congress last October, but we need congressional action to execute it. Only Congress can enact legislation so we can better compete with the private sector, get the best medical professionals to choose to serve you in the VA. And only Congress can modernize the archaic appeals process. Last year, the board was adjudicating an appeal that originated 25 years ago, and it had been decided more than 27 times. Under current law, with no significant change in resources, the number of veterans waiting a decision will soar by 179%. By 2027, from 500,000 to nearly 1.3 million. So the VA, the VFW, and other veteran service organizations, veterans advocates, the National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs, and the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers shaped a simplified, streamlined, and fair appeals plan. It's your plan. You helped us create it. We've urged ambitious action by Congress. We need them to pass the law. In 5 years, you could have appeals resolved within 1 year of filing. The legislation costs nothing. It's free, and it will be more efficient and less costly over time. The alternative? Devoting more resources to a broken system and significant sustained funding to hire more employees administering a broken system. You'll be waiting 10 years for a final decision on your appeal. That's unacceptable to me, and I know it's unacceptable to you. We are veterans. But these proposals require congressional action, and veteran service organizations can help us get it done. 86 years ago last week, veteran service organizations made the Veterans Bureau happen. 9 years later, VSOs made the Veterans Administration happen. VSOs got us the GI Bill. You got us the Montgomery GI Bill. You got us the post-11 GI Bill, post-9/11 GI Bill. You're why President Reagan made VA a department, giving all of us a seat at the table for national affairs. And you're the ones who can keep veterans in control of how, when, and where they wish to be served. And that's what my VA, that's what this transformation is all about. Now, you're going to hear about a lot more recommendations about VA's future. Some have argued, hard to believe, but some have argued, VA can best serve veterans by shutting down VA health care altogether. They argue that closing VHA is the bold transformation veterans and families need, want, and deserve. And I suspect that proposal serves some parties somewhere pretty well. But it's not transformational. It's more along the lines of dereliction. It doesn't serve veterans well, and it certainly doesn't sit well with me. So let's make sure there's substance to these discussions, that they're about veterans' interests and not some other interest. Let's make sure they're anchored to the service and the sacrifice, the sense of duty, the sense of honor that veterans represent, and only veterans understand. It's your VA. It's your VA. It always has been. God bless you and your families. God bless veterans. And God bless the United States of America.